Right, lads, okay, I did get your messages and your comments and your tweets asking me when I was going to be covering the DissociaDID video. If I was going to be covering the DissociaDID video, have I seen the DissociaDID video? Am I going to make a video on the DissociaDID video? That's just another way of saying, are you going to cover it? But I felt like I needed four things to say there. Now the thing is, I couldn't watch it for ages because I was just too busy, and I'm not going to go over that again because I already talked about it in a previous video. But yes, hi, to answer your questions, I have now seen the DissociaDID video and I am going to cover it. What's crack, it's VangelinaSkov, and today we're going to be talking about DissociaDID and the 4.5 hour long video that they did on their channel discussing all of the drama, everything, absolutely everything, just talking about it. It's a video none of us expected. I said that like I had somewhere to go after saying that, but I didn't. It's a video that none of us expected. So I want to go over a lot of the things that were talked about in that video, but before I get into that, I have something here. A package from Casetify, who happen to be the sponsor of today's video. Ooh, pretty box. Very pretty box. And here we have the 3 cases that I chose. This is one of their print impact cases, which allows drops for up to 6.6 feet, which is far, far taller than I am and would ever drop this from. And this is another print one. It is an ultra impact case, which allows drops for up to 9.8 feet, which is a lot. And also, I think the cherry blossoms are very, very pretty. Casetify's cases use Chi-Tech 2.0 technology, which is why their drop protection is so ridiculously good. And the last case I got is one that I was actually super excited for. This is a custom one, and it's a mirror case. I added the text "all is just a dream" to it because I'm constantly trying to remember myself that reality is not that serious, it's all good. And did I mention that their cases are made from 65% recycled and plant-based materials? Because that is honestly fantastic. And this very, very pretty packaging is also made from recycled paper and non-toxic soy ink. So like everything is as sustainable as it can be, which I think is great. And honestly, I love that these are so slim. Like with a lot of protective cases, they're super bulky, but these ones are just really slim and really nice. But of course, we gotta drop test it. We do. So let's see. That hit my desktop on the way down, but that's okay, because the phone is fine, clearly. I honestly trust these cases more than I trust myself. And that's not just with dropping it, that's with everything. Because on top of all of that, Casetify's cases have a Defensify antimicrobial coating, which kills up to 99% of bacteria, as well as being non-toxic and non-hazardous, which is great because I'm a germ freak. Honestly, I would highly recommend that you get one of these cases. They're just so worth it. They have endless print options or lots of custom options too, so you can get one for you or you can get it as a gift for somebody else. Oh, and the final thing I gotta tell you this because it's just amazing. As well as having all these other amazing features, they're also compatible with wireless charging and 5G. So it's pretty much everything you could want. So if you do want to get one, go to casetify.com/Vangelina to get 15% off your order today. Thank you, Casetify, so much for sponsoring today's video. Now let's talk about DissociaDID. Right, so there was a lot covered in DissociaDID's video with Braided. And just reading from the timestamps of this video itself, we have the things discussed: allegations from the entropy system, Patreon and finances, copyright strikes, how we address the hate mob, issues of race and allegations of cultural appropriation, sexuality and appropriateness online, the DID sleepover and the allegations against axolotls in a trench coat, allegations of DID misinformation, misrepresentation, DID diagnosis, Team Pinata, Multiplicity and Me and the Anthony Padilla interview, Bobo & Co. allegations, the entropy system and Team Pinata fallout, the SRA book and the allegations that they had stolen the idea for their inner world, alleged theft of trauma history from Facebook groups, university and attempts, and allegations of art theft and tracing. So with all of that being addressed, it makes sense that this video is 4.5 hours long. And you know, I complained about the 2.5 hour long video from Creepshow Art, although I will say, even though this video is 4.5 hours long, instead of 2.5 hours, it was much easier to watch because despite Zoom butchering all audio ever, it still sounded better than Creepshow Art's video. Now for today, I just want to go over a couple of things from this video. I'm not going to go over absolutely everything, and I will tell you why later on. But yeah, just going to focus on some main points. But the first thing that I want to bring up, just to get it out of the way, was that DissociaDID mentioned me a few times, and people were telling me this. And when people were telling me at the beginning, I had no idea what DissociaDID had said, and I assumed it was, yeah, Vangelina is a bitch. But actually they were quite nice about me, so appreciate that. That's always real sound. And also at the very end of the video, Kaya apologized that I would have to watch a 4.5 hour video, which, you know what? You're not forgiven. No. You owe me a drink. It's unacceptable behavior. Enough of that, let's actually talk about the important stuff. So the first thing I want to go over, just very briefly to give an overview of what was said, not going into every single detail, is the stuff about Patreon and their finances. So brief recap rundown of everything that happened. Many moons ago, DissociaDID had said that people who were supporting them on Patreon were helping them pay rent and bills. And they also took a break and weren't fulfilling tiers and told people that they would not be fulfilling those tiers. Now, a lot of people were angry about this, saying that they didn't actually need the money, that it wasn't helping them pay rent, they didn't need it, and also that this was manipulation, and the fact that they weren't fulfilling the rewards of the Patreon tiers was not okay. And some people were pointing to bank statements that showed that DissociaDID as a company actually did have a fair bit of cash. So in this video, Kaya says at the time that they said this, that the money on Patreon was helping them pay rent and bills. This would have been early 2020 to mid 2020. And says at the time they weren't making that much money, and that most of the money that they made came afterwards, specifically talking about the bank statements that people had seen, which was for DissociaDID as a company. And these bank statements would have been from late 2020, when DissociaDID was then getting brand deals, which is where a lot of their income came from. So at the time of saying that it was going to be helping them pay rent and bills, they weren't making as much money. And they also emphasized the fact that they had said that they wouldn't be fulfilling the rewards for the Patreon tiers, and that people knew that and were okay with it. Anyone who wasn't okay with it stopped paying, and anybody who was okay with it would also still get access to all the previous posts that were made on Patreon, and that included new patrons as well. Recently, however, after this video came out, a spreadsheet was going around after Grandad's Lounge showed it in a Twitch stream, and this was allegedly of DissociaDID's income, which seemed like a decent amount of money. Now, some months were a lot of money and some months were just kind of like normal. And this included income from before DissociaDID was formed as a company. So this would have been back early 2020 and mid 2020, when DissociaDID was saying that they needed money for rent and bills. But there are a couple of issues with this that need to be pointed out. Firstly, these numbers would have been from before YouTube takes their cut of the ad revenue. And for those of you who don't do YouTube and don't know, YouTube take 45% of your ad revenue. As well as that, it also would have been before taxes. And I just did a quick Google search to see how much tax is in the UK, because I don't live in the UK, and it says basic tax is 20%, and anything above £50,271 is taxed at 40%. So essentially the numbers that were on this spreadsheet would have been deducted by 45%, and then after that another 20 to 40%, which for some of the earlier months, like early 2020 and mid 2020, some of those numbers were like 900, 1,000. So if you think about it, when you take all of that away, it's not actually that much. The other thing that does need to be addressed is that people on Reddit were speculating that Grandad's Lounge had gotten this spreadsheet from he who must not be named, Small Truck, Santa Claus, whatever you want to call him, the man who had been copyright striking DissociaDID's videos. Now, there is no proof to this, but people are speculating just because of the fact that this spreadsheet is not publicly available anywhere. It's not in any court documents, so they're wondering how Grandad's Lounge found it. And he was in communication with Sergio at some point, although more recently has denounced Sergio. So we really don't know. It is speculation, but it does need to be said that this spreadsheet was not public anywhere. Right, next I just want to briefly go over some of the stuff to do with just Right, next I want to go over some of the stuff to do with DissociaDID's attempt and the posts that they made after that, because there was a lot of controversy around this after the entropy system said that, well, and showed screenshots of a conversation which seemed to allude to Nin posting about their attempt to get back at the trolls. And also people at the time were very angry about DissociaDID's wording, saying that they will try to stay alive. So the main things that came out of this conversation in DissociaDID's new video is that they apologized for their wording, saying we'll try to stay alive, saying it was a bad choice of words, and at the time they weren't in a good headspace and just That's what they said. But understand now that it was not a good thing to say. They also claimed they were not posting anything to try and get back at trolls or try to antagonize anyone or make anybody feel bad. And also that they were not lying about the attempt, which many people were speculating about. But they do say that the attempt itself had nothing to do with Grandad's Lounge and the trolls, but I don't want to get into it any more than that because I feel like it's actually not really my business why they would have potentially try to do anything. So I'm just going to leave it there. Those were the main points of what they said. On the topic of misinformation then, which is one of the biggest arguments that people make against DissociaDID a lot, saying that they spread misinformation about DID, and a lot of what they said isn't true, their statistics are wrong, and some of the stuff they said is just, what are you doing? Ow, why are you biting me? You're purring but biting me. She's like, stop making a video and pay attention to me. I can't, I'm in the middle of it, sweetie. Essentially what Kaya says is that it was never their intention to spread misinformation. Obviously, I don't think most people intend to spread misinformation. At the time, they were a lot more naive and a lot younger and were really trying to be an educator. But looking back on it now, they see that that maybe wasn't the best approach. And that going forward, they'll make sure that they always have disclaimers saying that they're not a mental health professional and that everything that they say is just based off their own experiences. And they have actually made a new disclaimer, which is in all of their videos now, which they posted on Instagram and on their YouTube community tab. In the video as well, they do talk about the copyright claims and the court case and stuff from He Who Must Not Be Named. But since this video came out, another copyright strike has been made, which I do want to talk about now because I think it's important. So in the first video that DissociaDID made after they came back, which was talking about the situation with He Who Shall Not Be Named, DissociaDID has posted saying that now Limp Larry is copyright striking that video as well because of the emails and text messages that are in it. He's alleging that those emails and the texts are written works and that is his copyright, and therefore he has a claim to the entire video. However, it could be argued that the video was definitely transformative. It was not just a reading of emails and text messages, there was commentary and further information added to it, so therefore, I mean, from my eyes at least, it would be transformative. But like, I'm not a lawyer. Are you a lawyer? No, you're a flop and you can't decide where you want to be. But yeah, for now the video has not been taken down. There's still time, because when you make a copyright claim, the video doesn't get removed immediately. So we'll see what happens with it. DissociaDID says they're not going to remove the video themselves, and if it is taken down, it's not because of them, it's because the YouTube system is broken and Boy McGee is really pathetic and keeps doing this. There are a lot more things mentioned in this video, as I said, particularly the stuff about Team Piñata, which was a lot of the controversy. It was the source of a lot of the issues for obvious reasons, and because of that, that's something I want to put in a separate video so I can really go into detail on that one and actually talk about it properly and people's opinions on it and things like that, because I feel like it's deserving of not being sort of glossed over, if that makes sense. So I will be talking about that in another video. Some of the stuff though, I feel like I'm probably not going to talk about it at all. Firstly, the stuff about allegations of racism and cultural appropriation. I was told at the beginning of my covering of this stuff that me talking about that was speaking over people of colour, and I don't want to do that. That was never my intention, and now that I know that that's an issue, I'm not going to be doing it going forward. The other stuff is to do with other DID tubers, so the Entropy System, Axolotls in a Trench Coat, Bobo and Co, Multiplicity and me. And I'm not going to talk about them today, and I might talk about it in another video, but it's dependent on a few factors, because from what I can see right now, everybody involved just sort of wants this to be done and be over, and nobody wants it to keep being thrown around. So for now, I'm just going to leave it alone, because as well as that, it's also just a lot of back and forth and everybody disagreeing on their version of events. And to do with the other stuff, their diagnosis of DID, the SRA book that people were saying that they copied their alters from, that I'm not talking about because that's not something I ever covered on this channel. I didn't cover the SRA book simply for the fact that this was never meant to be a series of videos about somebody's diagnosis. It's supposed to be more about the other controversies that's not related to mental health. Obviously, the main point of what they said was that they did not copy anything from any book and they did not steal trauma from people on Facebook. That's what they said. So I hope that's all okay with you guys. Like, I have reasons for not covering certain things, and again, I will obviously cover the Team Piñata stuff more in depth in another video because I really want to do that justice and not just gloss over it. What I will say though is that the majority opinion on, not on the video itself, but on like Reddit and Twitter, is that people weren't particularly happy with this video. There is obviously some divided opinion, a lot of people saying like, look, DissociaDID have now talked about everything and they've given explanations for everything, so can't we just let it go now? Other people saying that DissociaDID didn't take proper accountability and they didn't apologize for things they wanted them to apologize for. With a lot of people claiming as well that they're just lying in a lot of the stuff that they said. But again, there's people on both sides of the argument, and a lot of people are just saying, look, they've talked about everything now, it's over. Do let me know though what your thoughts are on the whole thing. Have you watched the video? What did you think about it? Would really honestly love to hear your thoughts, and especially if there's anything that you really wanted me to cover that I didn't cover. Again, I really hope nobody's mad about the stuff that I'm not mentioning today, but I do have reasons for them and I hope I conveyed those reasons properly. Anyway, that's going to be it for me for now, so if you haven't already, I would really appreciate if you would please subscribe to this channel, and you can also turn on notifications so that you will know when I upload, including when I upload the next part of this video. And you can also follow me on social media. Like, comment, share, do all the things that I'm supposed to ask you to do at the end of the video, including not to forget that you can go to casetify.com/Vangelina to get 15% off your order from Casetify. Link in description as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.